Okay, when I show you the answer, there's got to be an honor system of the person who's closest. We ship a copy one every second. So you can do the math again.
3,600. I said 500.
Nice throw, man. Okay, again I have to see you. Okay, so this is a question. How many of you know what Xbox is? Okay, good. That's awesome. How many of you know what Kinect is? Okay. So Kinect is this camera thing that we have 5 cameras on top of Xbox that basically can map you and your body becomes the controller. How many copies of Kinect was sold in the first 60 days? 1 million, 2 million, 1.5 million, half a million,
50 million.
50,000. Okay, what somebody said 10 million, so 1 million to 10 million. 500,000.
50 million.
0.75 million.
20 million, all right. Okay, it is 8 million copies were sold in the first 60 days. It was considered Guinness's fastest selling consumer product at that time. So, just somebody at 10 or 8? 10, okay, 10 was the closest.
Who said 10 million?
There, right there. Oh my God. Right? Now we are counting the number of hours logged by people who are connected to Xbox Live. I can give you some statistics. Only half of the people who have Xbox have an Xbox Live account. So whenever they log. So how much productivity have we killed in this world? How many hours of Xbox Live gaming time has been played so far?
15 million hours.
8 million hours.
8 million hours, 50 million hours?
30 million hours.
5 million hours, 50, okay?
30 million hours.
100 million hours, oh my God. Okay, we've really taken a dent on productivity here.
30 million hours.
Okay,
1 minute per
time to show the answer and you have to keep yourself honest. 2.1 billion hours. That's the amount of productivity loss we've inflicted on the world. 50 million or something was the closest. What? A billion, somebody. But you already have a t-shirt, right? So that's okay. Yeah, please give it to the other person. So was the next closest? He said a billion. He said a billion.
I was the closest. 30 million. Oh.
Okay, I think we have only 1 or 2 more left. Okay, this is a tough one. This breaks my heart. This is big. And you know we are a distant second. So how many queries per month happens in Bing in the US?
10 million. 1 billion.
1
Billion.
billion? Wow.
5 billion. 2 billion.
20 billion, all right. I don't think Google has that.
2 billion.
Okay, I have to use the honor system again, please.
2 billion.
2 billion queries per month is right. But there was somebody before that who said 2 billion in the back.
2 million people.
Okay, that is you. We had 1, is it? Yeah, 2 is the right answer. 2 billion queries per month.
2 billion. Exactly.
2 billion queries a month. Okay.
Sir, can I just ask how much is Google?
Google is about 3-4x that. They have 60% market share, we have 20-30% market share. Okay, this is a tough one. Minutes of calls made using Skype. Total number of minutes of calls made using.
How many people know that Skype is a Microsoft product?
All right.
100
1,000,
billion.
what is that?
100 billion.
1,000 billion hours? 1,000 billion minutes, okay.
100 billion hours. 100 billion hours.
Minutes, let's keep it in minutes. 500 million. So you said 1,000 billion, is it? Oh. I don't know whether that many minutes the earth is been alive. Maybe.
6 billion.
Okay.
100 billion.
The answer.
100 billion.
Not bad. It is 100 billion. So you said 1,000 billion. 100. So give everybody who did 100 billion. 1,000 was a little off, but 100 billion. 100 billion is right.
How do I break the tie?
But just give 2. That's okay. Hey, give the water bottle.
Tiebreaker.
Over here.
Keka, you know.
What is it?
So anyway, I'll skip the next 2 marketing slides and just quickly move to Q&A, just as a bunch of products that we do. So that was all I had to say, and I'll take any Q&A that you might have. I said I'll finish by 5, so hopefully I'm about on the dot. Any questions that I can take? Yes. Good question. I use Bing all the time for all the obvious reasons, but I always go and check on Google to just see how good or bad we are. Quite often, it's an interesting thing that I would highly recommend you do too. Just because in certain cases, like in the US, we are relatively good. There are other places in the world, like in India, depending if you're asking India query, we are not as good. So there are areas where we are good and there are areas we are not as good. Yes. That's a good question, and it's I'm not sure I'm the right one. The question was why a transition from mechanical engineering to computers. I actually wanted to be in computers. This is a story not even my classmates know at this time. I wanted to do computer science, and my grandfather thought doing computer science was the dumbest thing since sliced bread at that time, because you have to really make something for that to be true. So I decided I'll be in mechanical, but what they don't know was, in the second year, we are allowed to switch branches, and I actually did switch branches. I actually put in an application to switch the branch. I made one mistake. I went and told my grandfather, hey, I have switched branches, and I thought it was past the deadline. It was past the 5 o'clock. He made sure that I got into ad block and tore my application up. So I finished my mechanical engineering and then switched to computer science, because once you have a passion and you know what you're doing, there's no way to stop somebody from getting there. So when I went to the US, the first thing I did was switch to computers. Anything else? Any other questions? And by the way, I've been very lucky, because when we went there, the PC industry literally started just as we got there. So we saw the PC industry just grew up from nothing. Yes?
So what are some of your major strategies in tackling Microsoft?
Tackling Microsoft?
In tackling Google.
I have to be a little careful about how I answer it for all the competitive and confidential reasons. Let me just say the following. Firstly, search is a very lucrative business, and there is space for 2 people. The merchants, the people who use the advertisement, actually want 2 companies, because it's not in their interest to have a single company, because that company can jack the price up and they can't do anything. So they do want Bing. The problem is the consumers, right? The consumers, as long as it's good enough, you're going to Google it. You're not going to Bing it, right? So that's going to be our toughest problem. The simplest way to think about it is Google is using every asset in its book to shore up its position in search, whether through Android phones or whatever it is, right? If you take your Android phone, we are unable to get Bing on it for various reasons. The simplest way we can attack it is to use every Microsoft asset and bring enough value to the customer. Until we show value to the customer, there is no way you're even going to try us, right? The other advantage we have is a lot of people literally hate Google in the sense of Facebook can't stand Google and Google can't stand Facebook. Enemy of enemy is your friend. So we are the only people who can index anything that's happening on Facebook. Those kinds of things also give us a leg up where we can provide unique value in Bing in a way that Google cannot, because that they just cannot have that relationship today. And the same is going to become true of Apple very soon, in my gut opinion, because Google and Apple are at each other's throat at some point in time. So we have to use partners, and we have to use our own assets, and more importantly, we have to be as good or better than Google for you to even give us a try. And good is not good enough, so we have to make it even better in some cases. It's going to be hard. I mean, don't get us wrong. The same way when people always say Windows, whatever this system, it's not as good as this, not as good as that. But it's difficult for others to unseat Windows just because once consumers start using it, it's not in their interest to quickly switch. And we have the same problem with search. It's a little easier to switch in search than it is in other cases, which is the reason Google's giving you Android phones and giving you this and giving you that, because that becomes a tie-in for you.
Can you talk about a couple of points which Google has not addressed and you have addressed in Bing?
There were a couple of things. I'll just mention one. We are considered better than them in travel, as example, especially in the US. We do what is called fare prediction and fare forecasting much better than Google does when it comes to travel. Is one area where Bing is good. The second one I kind of alluded to is Facebook and social. We are better than Google. Google's basically only Google Plus is the only thing they do. And most of the world is not on Google Plus, they are on Facebook. So we do better than that.
So have you worked on the data retrieval time, like access time, faster than Google or something?
What is that again?
Data retrieval or access time, faster than Google?
The
Because sometimes some sites when you are visiting and searching some data, it's taking a lot of time.
Okay, so there are two ways to think about it, right? All of us have the same what is called the user metric. We have to paint the screen within 3 seconds. That's the industry standard. Google goes for it, we go for it. And whatever search results we get in 3 seconds is all we get. So it's not the performance that's the issue. It is what we paint in 3 seconds is the issue, right? If Google gives much better answers than we do, then obviously you will go to Google and the other way around, right? So I think we don't have a performance. Maybe in India we have a problem, I don't know, because of data centers and whatever it is. But our performance overall is comparable to Google, and there's no magic to it. We all paint the first, whatever we get in the first 3 seconds. It's the relevance, as we call it, meaning what you're asking, are we giving you what you really are asking, is the crux of the battle between us and Google, if you will. Yes?
Who actually started this graphical user interface? Some say that it was by Microsoft. Some say it was copied from Apple. Some say it was copied from Xerox Corporation.
Correct. It was if you really look at it, I don't know the graphical, the mouse and what basically became GUI, because what is called GUI, a graphical user interface, evolved over time. But the original concept was done in a place called Xerox PARC, Palo Alto. We licensed it, Microsoft licensed it from Xerox PARC as well. And Apple, I don't know what the relationship between Xerox and Apple is. Actually, at that time, Apple sued Microsoft. I was outside of Microsoft at that time in about 1989, 89, 90. Apple sued Microsoft on